Chillhowl. If you're watching this video, chances are you've met your chilly demise to this insanely strong weapon. Winning against Chillhowls is not easy, and the odds are definitely stacked against you. But with strong game knowledge and proper strategy, you can improve your win rate tremendously. In this guide, I'll be breaking down ideal builds, optimal skill setups, and advanced strategies to help you win against one of the top weapons on the ladder. Let's do this. The first step in learning how to beat Chillhowls is to understand intimately how the build works. Versus Warbows, this is the standard Chillhowl weapon build. Frostbolt is a spammable point-and-click cast that makes up the bulk of all Frost staff damage. Frost Nova gives them the ability to instantly disengage from a fight, while also keeping enemies rooted and unable to attack. Frozen Crystal is a point-and-click slow that is almost guaranteed to also stun you and deal massive damage. Their passive aggressive caster dramatically increases cast speed after a few abilities have been used. Chillhowls win their fights by wearing down enemies with their Frozen Crystal and spamming Frostbolts from a safe distance, or Frost Novaing away and kiting until their cooldowns are back up again. While Chillhowls won't typically win fights if they stay in toe-to-toe, their ability to kite and outrun virtually every build in the game allows Chillhowls to slowly but surely win any matchup. Most Chillhowls run Guardian Helmet for sustain and leather shoes to maximize cooldown reduction, while using normal run for kiting and chase potential. There is some variation between chest options, but the most common are Cultist Robe for sustain and Scholar Robe for burst damage. Chillhowls will typically run Morgana Capes to strengthen their damage windows, and will always run Pork Omelets for the CDR to take advantage of their insane mobility. As a one-handed staff, Chillhowl can be paired up with Tomb of Spells for faster casts and mana regen, Taproot for big HP bars, or Mistcaller for insane CDR to run enemies down. For the sake of this guide, we'll be assuming most Chillhowls are running Mistcaller, as this is the most competitive and frequently played variant of the build. Okay, so we've outlined the most common Chillhowl builds. The last thing I want to show you before getting into our Warbow build is the cooldown reduction difference between the two weapons. Warbows can run CDR on their jacket and boots, along with a 7.3 Pork Omelet to reach 23% CDR. Typical Chillhowl setups will run CDR on boots, a T8 equivalent Mistcaller, and a 7.3 Pork Omelet to reach 28% CDR. And if you ever come across a Chillhowl with an 8.3 Mistcaller, this can climb up to 30% CDR. Understanding these numbers is important because it illustrates how Chillhowls can simply outrun Warbows in a pure foot race. The kicker is that even if the Warbow is able to catch up to the Chillhowl briefly, all the Chillhowl has to do is press Frozen Crystal a single time on the Warbow, and the Chillhowl can safely create enough distance that the Warbow has no hope of ever catching up to him. At this point, you're probably wondering if you clicked on a Warbow guide or a Chillhowl guide. But don't worry, we're finally getting to our Warbow. The first thing I'll break down here is our armor setup. I reviewed this before in my Warbow PvP guide, so if you're just picking up Warbow for the first time, you can check that out by clicking the card in the upper right. Our armor setup versus Chillhowls is pretty similar to the classic Warbow setup. The one change I've been testing is Sandals of Purity over our typical leather shoe setup, and I'll talk more about that in just a bit. For our weapon skill setup, we take Multi-Shot, Frost Shot, and Piercing Arrows. Multi-Shot allows us to interrupt Cultist Robe channels, and also interrupt their Frostbolt Q spam. Technically, Poisoned Arrow does more damage over time, but the value we get from the Multi-Shot interrupt outweighs that extra bit of DPS. Since Chillhowls also run Guardian Helmet, they can actually cleanse our Poisoned Arrow dot, meaning that Multi-Shot actually comes out ahead in damage. Frost Shot gives us the mobility we need to try and keep up with Frost stats, and it's typically used to match their Frost Nova cooldown. But for the Chillhowl matchup in particular, Frost Shot has an even more important role. See, the Chillhowl's Frozen Crystal has a short 1 second window between when the slow is applied and when the stun is activated. Now if you can successfully channel your Frost Shot within that 1 second window, you can actually dodge the stun and the corresponding damage. Frozen Crystal is a little buggy. Sometimes you can successfully Frost Shot out of the zone, but still get stunned. But if you're out of the icy zone, you won't actually take any damage. Being able to dodge the stun and damage from Frozen Crystal is one of the most important aspects of winning this matchup. Magic Arrow is our main nuke, and it goes without saying that landing this ability on cooldown is key to winning the DPS battle when trading with Chillhowls. Piercing Arrows is our passive, and it gives us more overall damage in our trades, strengthening our ability to stand and fight. Guardian Helmet usage is pretty straightforward. Since Chillhowls don't have any dots, you can safely use this ability on cooldown. Just be sure you're not overhealing with it. And with our Assassin Jacket, we take Inferno Shield. I've had a number of people ask why I don't take Ambush instead, and here's why. Typically, Ambush is used to wait out important enemy cooldowns, or to stall and wait for our own cooldowns so we can effectively kite away and gain distance on our opponent. But as we established earlier, Chillhowls have the ability to outrun Warbows, so waiting around for our mobility to come back isn't effective, because Chillhowls get their mobility back just as quickly and can match our movement. Inferno Shield, on the other hand, gives us a huge buff in resistances and reflects damage back at our opponent. Since all Frost staffs rely on Frostbolt spam to deal the bulk of their damage, Inferno Shield counters it perfectly. The 40-second cooldown is also significantly shorter than Ambush's minute-long cooldown. Typically, right after landing a Frozen Crystal, Chillhowls will begin chain casting Frostbolts while taking advantage of their Morgana Cape and aggressive caster procs for insanely fast casts. It's during this window that you want to have Inferno Shield activated. If you don't have Frost Shot available to dodge the Frozen Crystal, you may even want to activate Inferno Shield before the stun goes off, so that you minimize the damage you take from their E and turn it back at them. Finally, we've got our shoes. Now, typically you'll use normal run since it gives you flexibility in chasing and kiting. But because Chillhowls are so common, I've actually started using hover on Sandals of Purity for two reasons. First, the shorter cooldown allows me to desync my sprint against theirs. If we're both running normal run, it's very easy for him to mirror me whenever I use it, so I never have a chance of really catching up to him. But with the shorter cooldown on hover, if he ever decides to engage me while his run is on cooldown, I will have a small window of superior mobility if he tries to disengage. It's minor, but it can give me a slight edge if he gets greedy enough to stick around. The second reason is because with proper timing, hover can actually completely negate his Frozen Crystal. Now, if I'm in the middle of using my normal run and a Chillhowl casts Frozen Crystal on me, I don't move fast enough to get out of the zone before his stun procs on me. But since hover negates slows, if you cast it before you are slowed by Frozen Crystal, you can escape the zone in time to dodge the stun. It can be a risky prediction, but if you know that Chillhowl E is coming, you can pre-cast your hover to dodge it entirely. Okay, now I'm going to break down a couple fights for you to show you times where I've done things right and scored a kill, but also times where I've done things wrong and it ended up costing me. This first fight is from one of my previous videos and picks up after about 5 minutes of us chasing each other around. 99% of Chillhowls will cast Frozen Crystal on you the moment you get in range. Expecting this, I have my cursor ready to frost shot out of the slow in order to dodge the stun. You can see that even though I cast it almost instantly, I still get caught by the stun. But since I'm out of the icy zone, I take no damage. It's tempting to use a magic arrow or multi-shot the moment he gets in range, but you have to be patient and wait for the frozen crystal, or the global cooldown on your abilities will prevent you from casting frost shot fast enough. You see his Morgana cape is also procced here, so you know he wants to trade with his lightning fast frost bolts. This is where Inferno Shield is super key. It takes him a second, but he realizes he's losing the fight and starts to retreat and cast his Cultist Robe. Multi-shot has a nice and short cooldown, so I'm able to interrupt his heal about halfway through the channel. He realizes he's not winning this trade, so he turns tail, Frost Novas, and sprints away. Typically, when I'm chasing someone down, and I have Frost Shot and Run both off cooldown, I'll start by instantly casting the Frost Shot, so that I can get the cooldown rolling, and also so that I don't have to waste valuable runtime while in the Frost Shot casting and movement animation. But I intentionally used Run first here, because I was hoping he'd try and Frozen Crystal me as he escaped. He chooses not to Crystal me, so I decided to use Frost Shot instead to try and close the distance so I can actually do damage. As expected, he E's me right after I Frost Shot and he gets away. So you might ask, well, why didn't I just wait until he crystaled me to Frost Shot? The answer is that if I didn't Frost Shot to keep up with him right then, he would have been able to get away without even having to crystal me. This is the most frustrating part of the matchup. Even if I manage to keep up with him by using Frost Shot to match his Frost Nova and my run to match his, all he has to do at that point is cast an undodgeable Frozen Crystal on me, slows me for 1 second, and stuns me for another 2 seconds. Meanwhile, he can continue running away, now with 3 seconds worth of distance between us. The video picks up again right after I've won another trade. Instead of running as he probably should have, he tries to channel the Cultist Robe right in front of me, so I quickly interrupt it. If he'd simply E'd me the moment I got in range, he would have been able to waste my sprint and get away with no issue. But for whatever reason, he decides to stick around, giving me an opportunity to kill him. As you can see, I'm pretty much at this point, because to keep up with his damage, I need to be using my magic arrow on cooldown, so I use my E more than twice as often as he uses his. In addition, his Cultist Robe regenerates his health and mana, while Inferno Shield drains my own mana. So, not only are you at a mobility disadvantage in this matchup, but you are also at a mana disadvantage. Oftentimes, Chillhowls will kite you with a 100% safety while you run out of mana trying to chase them. But if you overextend a single time, they can take advantage of it and run you down with their full mana bar. I continue chasing him here, knowing that I've pretty much only got one chance left to kill him, since if he regenerates again, he'll likely be able to run me down. He catches me at the perfect choke point with his Frozen Crystal, such that I can't safely Frost Shot out unless I perfectly angle myself through the obstacles here. I decide not to take that risk, and instead save for one last ditch final shot at him. He starts sprinting away off the screen, but I'm able to read his pathing and land a max range magic arrow to kill him. I'd be lying if I said this shot wasn't at least a little bit lucky. For this next fight, I wanted to show you guys a clip where I die because I got greedy and used my abilities at the wrong time. This clip picks up almost 10 minutes into the fight, as Chillhowl has been playing extremely safe, so I was getting a little impatient and trying to force a kill. He walks up to me here, and it's important to note that he didn't use any mobility to catch up to me like in the previous fight. I snuck in a magic arrow before his Frozen Crystal, but even though I Frost Shot out of the slow, the crystal bugs out, and I still end up getting stunned and taking damage. Remember what I said earlier about holding damage so that you can get the Frost Shot off in time? I should have followed my own advice here and been more patient. He sticks around to trade with his Frost Bolts, so I decide to Inferno Shield. He's picked up on my strategy at this point, so he makes the right decision and immediately retreats, negating any value my Inferno Shield could have given me. I continue chasing him here, but I really should have backed off after taking stock of the situation. I have no Inferno Shield or Guardian Helmet cooldown, and we're still at even HP. I'm using my sprint to keep up with him, so if he turns on me after Inferno Shield ends, I can't disengage from the fight. But probably the biggest mistake is not playing around his Morgana Cape. Looking at his buffs here, we can see that his Morgana Cape is no longer on cooldown. This means that I can expect him to be aggressive on his next Frozen Crystal. But the problem is that my Inferno Shield is now on cooldown, because he successfully baited me into using it without getting any real value. I lose the trade heavily, and try to disengage in order to stall for my Inferno Shield. Sadly for me, it's too little too late. My death here comes down to me using my Inferno Shield one engagement too early, when instead, I should have been holding it for the Morgana Cape proc. This fight shows how it is important to consider when you're using your defensive abilities, not just pressing it simply because it's off cooldown. In this final clip, I want to illustrate just how difficult the matchup can be for Chillhowls that understand the windows where the Warbow can win the fight. In this fight, I've been chasing around Sourceres, who held number 1 on the infamy ladder for a good amount of time running Chillhowl. He's running the Scholar Robe variant of the build, so while he has less sustain, his offensive windows are much stronger, since he has access to both Morgana Cape and Scholar Robe for casting speed buffs. After losing several engagements, he starts to realize that I'm completely dependent on Inferno Shield to have a chance in winning our trades. He starts to stagger his Morgana Cape and Scholar Robe procs so that every other trade, he'll come out way ahead. This, in combination with his full 8.3 armor set, makes a kill versus him pretty much impossible unless he really screws up. After about 15 minutes of chasing each other back and forth, I figure my only chance is to try and bring mobs into the fight in order to add another variable and hope that I can throw him off enough to help me win. But I make a number of errors here. First, by not dodging his Frozen Crystal. Second, by disengaging very poorly, so I take too much damage and he's able to run me down easily. I definitely could have played this engagement much better. Again, I think this clip helps show how you really only get to fight on the Chillhowl's terms, and if they play safely, they really shouldn't ever die to a Warbow. Alright, that's it for our Warbow vs Chillhowl guide. I've been meaning to get these guides out faster, but just haven't had the time. I know they're a little long, and maybe not as entertaining as my other vids, but I do think it's helpful to have these educational resources out there. With that being said, let's get right on to the giveaway. And our winner is Conrad Verway. Conrad, congratulations on winning your 8.3 dagger. I'll be hitting you up in-game to trade it to you. I hope you don't end up killing me uncorrupted with this thing. For this video's giveaway, I'll actually be giving away 2 items. A 7.3 Chillhowl and an 8.3 Mistcaller. Sorry if you were expecting an 8.3 Chillhowl. Ain't that rich, guys. Anyway, if you want a chance to win, just be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below about what matchup guide you'd like to see next. We'll see you guys soon.